War is the art of trickery. If you are capable, show yourself not capable. If you are ready, show yourself not ready. If you are close, make yourself seem far. And if you are far, make yourself seem close. He who despises you, make him even more proud. He who is rested, tire. Those who are close, scatter. Attack him when he is not ready, and arise where he doesn't expect. Therein lies the victory of military strategists. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. This video, and yes indeed, I did check, is going to be somewhat of a milestone because it will be the 100th book review that I will have that will be going up on YouTube. It is not the 100th review I've actually made, not even at the time of this video's production, to be honest. But it is the 100th review that I will have posted. And in order to mark the occasion, I thought I would look into The Art of War by Sun Tzu. By far the oldest book I've read and reviewed for this channel, or maybe even in general. This is one of those books that really doesn't need any introduction, but perhaps this particular edition does require something of an introduction, because, as it claims at least, it is the first translation from traditional Chinese to my mother tongue of Romanian. And it's also been annotated by the same guy who translated it, Mugur Zlota, Bud Zloty, as one could translate his name, with illustrations by Mihail Koșulețu, Michael Smallbasket. This is not the first time I've read and reviewed a translated book for this, for my YouTube channel, not by a long shot. So, but it is my perhaps deepest dive into the common cultural heritage of humanity. Anyway, pretentious notes aside, what else can I say about my most recent dip into nonfiction? Well, the TLDW for this review is, this is actually a very dense book. While the original text itself is arguably somewhat short, there are lots of meanings and messages that can be gleaned from the original text, as the translator notes have do a great job at highlighting with a lot of with a lot of detail and a lot of care. Unfortunately, that ambiguity makes the book seem somewhat meandering, and it therefore arguably has more value as a historical document rather than as a piece of nonfiction that is commercially available. Still, if you in any way have access to this sample of history, preferably in an annotated version, and are in any way curious about its content, then I can only recommend that you go ahead and check it out. You will most likely not be disappointed. I can't really go ahead and say that you'll love it, but I can very much say that I would recommend that you look into it if you're already inclined to have an interest in it. Anyway, and now that I'm done with the general info, it's time I delve a little bit more into the specifics. Starting with the specifics of this translation, which I said is also extensively annotated, and the annotations do two things quite well. First of all, presenting the historical background of pre-imperial China, so the time frame within which Sun Tzu himself would have lived and would have written about. And also it does a great job at highlighting the the challenges that arise from creating this from creating this translation. So in that sense, they're excellent. So in that sense, the annotations do a great job at framing the information they present. When it comes to the illustrations, I think it is pretty clear where exactly they lie. If you look at the contrast. Let's see if I can find one as an example. Oh yeah, this one right here. As you can see, yeah, great use of negative space and contrast with all of them. They mainly function as chapter interstitials and, excuse me, and do a great job at as I said, they function as chapter interstitials and utilize negative space and contrast to a great degree. Unfortunately, I can't really find a meaningful correlation between the illustrations themselves and any of the chapters surrounding them. So they don't really contribute to the framing of the framing of what is presented, rather just as window dressing. That being said, what can I say about the actual text itself? Well, some of you might have certain expectations going into reading this book, particularly when one considers that the term martial art exists. However, this is very much a combat management thesis rather than a martial art examination in and of itself, because this book doesn't really talk about like hand-to-hand engagements, weapon use, training regiments, or anything of the kind. Rather, it approaches the topic of warfare from a perspective that is half bird's eye view, half the report that goes into the back office. And as such, it approaches the topic of warfare from two dimensions, basically. The first one is the relationship between the command structure of an army and the rank and file troops, and the second one is perhaps the connection and possibilities and challenges that arise when looking into how various features of a terrain could be used if said terrain were to become a battlefield. For the people who are going into this book expecting scenarios, I think it is this part of the book that they will find most intriguing, because the author does a pretty good job at presenting how it is that how the features can either help or hinder an army. And it does, and he's able to do so with a great deal of both, with a great deal of insight, and also allow for enough immersion to, for most readers to place themselves within that setting. What is perhaps most intriguing is that it is these aspects that are most easily translated towards the non-martial scenarios within which this book is also quoted, also happens to be quoted quite often, such as diplomatic or commercial negotiations. Because a lot of the challenges that are presented by the terrain can, to some extent, be abstracted and transferred within other fields as well, which indeed does extend its applicability and therefore the meaning of its legacy. Especially when one considers how, just like within those fields, the book places an emphasis on gathering knowledge and sorting, separating, analyzing it in order to achieve success. When it comes to the first dimension, however, I am afraid this book is not really as insightful as it could be. It does describe somewhat the synergy necessary for an army to function, the synergy between the sovereign, commanders, officers, and the rank and file soldiers. But it doesn't really delve into the mechanisms that make that synergy happen. The one point it does so is in the chapter on spies, but with everything else, that synergy is either taken for granted or is based on external sources. Nevertheless, even though that base isn't thoroughly explored, its relevance, its meaning within a martial context, and how it can be how it can be translated and how it is useful within a martial setting is still explored quite well, and also the consequences, the importance that that results from those aspects is highlighted with with the necessary level of care, I would say. Overall, while this book is perhaps not as not as insightful or as directly useful an introduction to the topic as more recent books would be, particularly for modern audiences. This early treatise on warfare is represents an interesting look into the style and the conceptual place of its point of origin, and represents an insightful manner in which grace can be found or created within a chaotic environment. My final rating for The Art of War is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If you have anything to add to the book itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and The Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I would suggest you check out should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks, the specifics of which I will allow you to discover for yourselves. I also have a second channel where I talk about whatever else it is that interests me. So if you want to hear my thoughts on topics not related to books or literature, that's the place to go. If, however, you want to keep hearing my thoughts on books and literature, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog. As I've already alluded to in the beginning of this video, I have 99 other book reviews, and also I have plenty of writing advice as well as lore videos standing by, ready for your eyes to glance upon them. And yeah, that was it. I have nothing more to add. Oh, actually I do. If none of these things interest you, then you can go ahead and do whatever else you want with your day, because it is your day after all. Okay, now I'm done. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.